return to the Jurassic franchise. We start a new trilogy. So this is the reboot trilogy of the Jurassic World movies. So we're going to start with the first one, 2015, just called Jurassic World. So this was the reboot, directed by Trevor Tomorrow or
Colin Trevorrow?
Because it's the T, so I said Trevor. And a decent director, done a couple of decent things before this, but yeah, this was his sort of foray into blockbusters of these kind of big reboot, sort of nostalgia type movies that now are very commonplace, but this was one of the very early ones looking back. So it's sort of interesting to think about that when you see how rampant they are now. Reboot, but also one that nods a lot to the original Jurassic Park movie. So the whole setup is that you've got this new theme park, and they've gone the next stage where they've like digitally reproduced from the DNA of the original dinosaurs to create new versions. So it's almost like a supply line, and they've opened up this big theme park, almost like a Disney style theme park, you could say. And so you've got two main characters. You've got the character of Claire, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, and you've got the character of Owen, played by Chris Pratt. So Bryce Dallas Howard's Claire, she's the one who's responsible for running the park. And early in the movie, she gets a call from Judy Greer, who plays her sister. She's currently going through a divorce, so they pack off the kids to like spend a weekend or a couple of days, whatever, at the theme park. And Claire has this kind of arc where at the start of the film, she's too caught up in her work, and she's kind of doesn't have a lot of time for her family or for anything else. And she just sees it as a bit of this is my job. It's about the business side of things, that kind of thing. So the kids are kind of, left sort of isolated. So she has this arc when things get out of control, as they always do in these movies. She, over the course of the movie, actually learns to care a bit more. And when her nephews are put in danger, and she has to work together with Owen to save them. So Owen is like the dinosaur trainer. That's his sort of area. This movie also introduces the blue character, the Velociraptor, who he has a special bond with, and Blue is a dinosaur who we see in every one of these three movies. So they kind of have a bit of a past. They have a kind of love to hate each other type thing, but they have to work together to save the day. You also get the villain of the piece, who is the Vincent D'Onofrio character.
I love Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he's suitably slimy, isn't he? Yeah. So he plays this character who basically wants to use them as like soldiers, basically the dinosaurs as like hunters. So when things go awry, he smells his opportunity to like put that in action. So what do you think of Jurassic World?
I think this film tricks you. See, when I first saw this at the cinema, I remember really liking this film. But every time I've rewatched it since, not so much. And I think it tricks you with nostalgia and spectacle. I think this film does those two things really well. I mean, it was really, like you said, it was one of the first films to start this whole reboot trend. So thanks, Jurassic World. I guess we can blame it for that. And I think it really, really leans on nostalgia. I mean, for one thing, like the score is fantastic, but it is full of shout outs to the original movie. There's so many
Giacchino, the score,
yes, I think
The Lost
Guy.
Very, very good composer.
Yes, and it's a fantastic score, but it really weaponizes the nostalgia for the original score. Then, of course, you have the nostalgia for the fact that this is the first sequel that goes back to Isla Nublar. This is the first one where we're actually back on the island. We're actually going to see a fully functioning theme park. I think the fact that the actual theme song plays over the shot of the park is very telling. Again, they're trying to weaponize that nostalgia. But the thing with this movie, and it might just be me, but sometimes I feel like this movie is really generic is probably the only way I can describe it. The characters are very caricature-like. The simple. Even the dinosaurs, because they're mostly CGI, just don't feel as magical as they have in previous movies. There's really only one scene where you really feel the dinosaur, and that's the scene with Claire and Owen and the Brachiosaurus, because that's the only one that actually uses an animatronic. There's only one animatronic in this entire film. The kids are probably two of the most annoying characters, especially the older kid. Like, what a creeper this kid is. I don't know what they were trying to do with this kid, but the way he is always staring at like every single teenage girl who walks past, it is ridiculous.
Oh, he's got a girlfriend at home.
And he's got a girlfriend at home.
Yeah.
What a creeper. The little kid, I think, is a little bit better. I think his actor is a little bit... Actually, you know what? The guy who plays the older kid is actually not a bad actor. I've seen him in other stuff.
Yeah, no, he has gone on to...
Yeah, I think it's just this character. Yeah, but the little kid, Gray, is okay. We all know that I do not like Owen, and we're going to talk about how stupid annoying I find his character. Claire I actually like, and Claire I actually tend to defend a lot, because Claire gets a lot of hate. The Jurassic Park fandom really don't like her, and even within the movie I feel like she gets a lot of hate and a lot of disrespect for things that aren't actually her fault, and I just... like her treatment really bugs me, because she's really the only character that has like an arc in this movie. No other character really. I mean, the brothers have a little bit of one, you know, with like learning to be close again, but you're not really invested in their characters in the first place. And I'm going to call back a lot to Jurassic Park as we talk about this, because you can see things from there that have been implanted here. Like, for example, the kids who are visiting the park because their parents are getting divorced. In the first movie, that actually plays into Lex and Tim's character development and their bond with Grant and everything. But whereas in here, it doesn't feel like it really does anything. I feel like... Yeah, so I think that this film, it grabs you with its nostalgia, with its score, with its spectacle. You know, there are some fantastic scenes with the dinosaurs. The Mosasaurus scene in particular is really good. The gyrosphere scene, all of that is really fun. But I think that all distracts you from the fact that it's actually a very empty movie, and it actually doesn't have a lot of meat to it. And so... I did enjoy watching it, but it's kind of what I call a popcorn film. You watch it, you enjoy it, you forget about it afterwards, and you still feel slightly hungry for more because it hasn't quite satisfied you. But you did enjoy it while you watched it. What about you? How did you go watching this one?
So, okay, I've seen this a few times. Like you, I saw it in the cinema at the time. And funnily enough, like... I think I've done the opposite to you, where for a while I wasn't really that into it, and now I'm more into it. I think on this third viewing, the thing I'll defend, because I think it is partly the point of the movie. I think that's what they're doing, where it's a theme where they're kind of saying that this theme park is kind of cashing in on almost nostalgia for the dinosaurs and the original, like, story of the original film. So I think they're almost doing quite a clever thing with that, where they're sort of saying, as a cynical, like, business type venture, they Actually, I enjoy this. Like, I obviously you said it's like a big dumb blockbuster, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's a room for,
that's true.
For that in cinema, and I think especially once you get to the back half of this movie, there's a lot of good stuff, I think, with the dinosaurs. You know, like the helicopter scene I thought was very good, for example. And you're probably right. The designs probably aren't as good, partly because they are CGI. But I still thought they looked pretty good, you know, compared to a lot of modern movies and things. Been at the audience a bit too much. And there's moments where they do... kind of recreate scenes from the first film, so where that's a little bit too far, because like you don't want this to feel... I think they're just doing that thing of it's a tribute to the original movie, but there's probably some scenes that do cross a line where they do that a bit too much, where like this feels like a bit of a yeah, like more of a remake. You're just redoing these scenes. Because there's a scene, isn't there, which is similar to the one in the first one where you've got the injured dinosaur and Sam Neill.
Yes.
There's like the equivalent of that scene in this film. So there are scenes like that where it just feels like they're just doing it because you had a similar scene in the first film. But I think it's solid. Like you, I don't really like the Owen character. And I think he gets worse sort of in the sequels.
Oh, he does.
What do you think of Chris Pratt overall? Like, are you a fan as an actor or not really?
I mean, I don't love him. I think he plays a variation of the same character in most of his films. And he's a little bit of a twat in real life. Nowhere near as bad as a lot of Hollywood
So he's
actors.
got a suitable surname is what we're saying.
Yes, definitely. He definitely has
a
suitable surname. I think this movie was kind of the start of him as an action star. This was the movie where he lost a lot of weight for this movie, because before this he'd really only done, I think, Parks and Recs and, other smaller things where he plays, where he was a pudgier guy. And I think this was the film where everyone went, whoa, Chris Pratt has gotten hot or whatever. But yeah, personally, I don't think he's a bad actor. Like, he doesn't make me want to go, oh, get off the screen. But I don't think he's anything spectacular. I've never seen him in anything that he's blown me away. And like I said, the fact that he is a bit of a prat in real life just kind of makes me go, whatever. So yeah, I'm kind of a bit meh about Chris Pratt. Don't hate him, but don't really like him that much.
It's a weird sort of career decline, because I mean, a few years ago, around the time he was in this really, like, he was being talked up as, I mean, because you had people saying, well, if they reboot Indiana Jones, he could be the lead in that.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
and that kind of role, and he did really seem to be on the up. And then for a combination of reasons, one is the stuff in real life, but I think it's also then he's just picked some really bad roles since then, and his career does seem to be that sort of nosediving. I think he's miscast in this. I think that's part of the problem. Like, I don't really see him as a natural action star.
No.
Especially if you're going to make it a serious, style action star. Like, if there was more wisecracking, that would be different. Because, obviously in Parks and Rec, he proves he can do that stuff. And he's very good comedically. So, it's... I think he's partly miscast, and I think they make the character too serious. And I think the weakest part of the character, and probably one of the weakest parts of this movie, is then they tried to make certain scenes into too much of an action movie, because he had certain lines of dialogue that do feel a bit like they're going for the action star.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not sure things like that belong in the Jurassic Park/World movie. Like, I don't think you really want too much of that in this movie. Like, I think he gets worse as the series goes on, probably.
Yeah.
Even in this movie, I don't think he's great. I agree with you. I think Claire's the better of the two. I like Bryce Dallas Howard quite a lot.
Me too.
And
me too.
Like you said, at least she does get an arc. Really feeling their relationship.
No.
I mean, I think the actors are okay together, but at the same time,
I do too.
I'm just not feeling their relationship.
No, and I felt that too. I remember thinking, okay, you've got two actors that actually have okay chemistry. Like, there's not no chemistry between them. Like, there are a few scenes where they're close to each other and I'm like, yeah, I could feel this. But they seem to have fallen back on that whole kind of it was almost like they were trying to go for a bickering kind of, love-hate relationship. Like, these two are arguing so much because they're attracted to each other. Except it doesn't really come across that way. And I think a lot of it comes down to the way their lines are written. Some of the dialogue in this movie is really bad. Like, some of the dialogue is wow, who wrote this? Then there's the fact that Owen basically does that classic thing where he basically negs Claire the entire time. So many times he's insulting insulting her or putting her down, even when it's not warranted. Like at one point when he's making fun of the fact that they've called the new dinosaur the Indominus Rex, she's like, you should hear a child try to pronounce, and then she says some long dinosaur name. And he's like, ugh, you should hear you try to pronounce it. But she actually pronounces it correctly. So it's like, why are you being a dick? Like, and, you know, even from their first meeting, it's completely antagonistic. My thing with Owen is I feel like Owen basically has one main character trait, and this gets worse as the movies go on, and that is that he's cool. You know, Owen is cool. He trains raptors and he runs around with dinosaurs and he carries a knife on the back of his things, and he's cool. And that's pretty much his only character trait. He's just there to be the cool raptor trainer. And I just don't like that. I also think that Owen it's actually technically his fault that the dinosaur gets loose. He's the one that decides to go walking into the cage when they don't even know where the dinosaur is. Like that whole...
That's true, yeah.
We're going to start getting into spoilers here. So obviously, as Keith said, you know, part of this movie is that they are inventing new dinosaurs, crossbreeds. They're no longer just content to just have, you know, a T-Rex or a raptor. Now we have to have the Indominus Rex. So this is the new dinosaur that they've bred that they don't really know much about. Now, Owen, they decide to bring Owen in to check out the enclosure. I don't know why. He's not an architect or an engineer. He's a dinosaur trainer, but whatever. So they bring him over, and that's when they notice, or at least they think the dinosaur isn't in the pen anymore, because they turn on the thermal something or the other and they can't find it. So we think a dangerous dinosaur is on the loose. So Claire actually does the correct thing. She goes to her car to go back to the command center, because as she says, she can track the dinosaur from the center. Now you'd think with a dinosaur on the loose that they would just stay in that nice little enclosed security box and just wait for further instructions. But no, they go wandering into the cage, and that's when the damn thing gets out. And then Owen goes storming into the headquarters, yelling at everyone. And it's like, yo, dude, who let the dinosaur out in the first place? Okay, like, let's not start flinging barbs around. And I just think his complete and utter lack of respect for Claire, it just really bugs me. And of course, you have that infamous line, which spawned 1,000 memes of him commenting on her shoes. You know, you'll last 10 seconds out here in this jungle, less in those ridiculous shoes. And that spawned this whole thing on the internet about why is Claire going in the jungle in these shoes? And all I want to say to these stupid people is the girl was not expecting to have to run through the jungle to find her nephews. She's dressed the way a corporate CEO woman would dress, in high heels. Now, if we want to talk about the ridiculous footwear that women are forced to wear in order to be taken seriously, that's a whole other conversation. Exactly. But I actually think that girl was completely badass for running through the jungle in high heels. Do you know how hard it is to run in high heels, let alone through a jungle? So yeah, this is just one example of like the way that Claire is put down in this movie. I also don't like that her whole storyline is that cliched businesswoman has to learn how to be like more family oriented. It's sexist. It's sexist, and it's old, and it's tired. And I don't mind a parental storyline. But again, let's compare with Alan Grant from the first film, who has a similar arc of learning to, you know, be close to children and take care of children. But Alan's arc is presented as he and Ellie are in a relationship. He's already not good with kids. She obviously wants kids, and they're having a little bit of a to and fro about that. That makes sense. That makes sense for his character, for where he is. Whereas Claire is obviously happy without kids. She's obviously fine. The way her sister gets on the phone and is all like, when you have kids, you know, and she's like, if, and her sister's like, when. Also, the fact that her sister decided to offload her 2 kids onto her corporate working CEO sister, who she knows has a busy schedule, who she knows is like, you know, running a multi-billion-dollar park, and then she gets all pissed off because she can't take time off to look after her nephews. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work.
I don't know about that. I think that's a bit harsh. I think I can see her line of thinking, because she is packing them off to like essentially a theme park. So I can see that line of thinking that you're like, okay, kids would enjoy this sort of thing. Like it's a weekend away, and naturally, you know, the aunt is there, and
like Claire gets very harshly judged for something that isn't really a natural part of her character. And then like later on, Owen asks her how old her nephews are, and she can't answer him. And he's like, oh my God, you don't know how old your nephews are? I was like, dude, my own parents forget how old I am sometimes, okay? Like, this is not like an indication that she doesn't care about her nephews, that she doesn't know how old they are. And there's all these, and I think if it was only one or two instances of people going after Claire, I'd be okay. But the fact that there are so many times over the movie where people are, it's just amazing how many people want to pick on Claire when she's really just doing the best that she can. For example, when all the pterodactyls are flying around, and Owen gets attacked by one, and Claire's nephews see her rescue Owen. They see her hit the dinosaur and shoot the dinosaur, and then 2 seconds later when they're in the car, they're like, oh, can we stay with you? And Claire's like, oh, I am never letting you out of my sight. They're like, no, we mean him. I'm like, why do you want to? And this is my thing where Owen's like character is like supposed to be cool. Like these kids obviously are like saying, oh, we want to stay with the cool, awesome guy, despite the fact that we just saw our aunt take out a dinosaur and save him. Like, it just, to me, it's the way certain things are written to skew the audience in favor of Owen over Claire. Just, it bugs me a bit. And I'm probably reading too much into things, but I really like Claire as a character, and I feel like the movie is very negative towards her a lot.
Quite like a double-edged sword, because in a way I would argue it's actually reasonably progressive than you have a female character who isn't family orientated and like,
oh, that part,
because in a way the maternal, like playing on the maternal instincts and that, like, that's a bigger stereotype. So to actually have her being like quite a high flying businesswoman. But yeah, you probably have a point about the way it all plays out, because I think by the end of the movie, we're maybe meant to assume that she's changed her mind about maybe one day wanting. So it comes back to, with her and Owen, they're doing a will they, won't they? They're doing kind of a stereotypical like screwball rom-com style relationship. And, you know, I speak as someone who likes that tradition of comedy and enjoy quite a lot of those style movies. But the problem is that style of like comedy for me doesn't really belong in the Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's the tropes and the stereotypes that don't really belong, which drag the characters down and their dynamic. I don't think they need to have a romance anyway. I think you could just tell their story, and that would be fine without the romance. And I think that's another problem with a lot of movies. And I think this goes back quite far, so I'm not just ragging on modern movies, but like, it's a problem with like quite a lot of blockbuster style movies. Then they feel then once you have a female co-lead, then you have to have a romance, and it's just overdone. Like, but it just feels like part of them turning this into a little bit of an action movie, because that's something you see in a lot of action movies. So I think a lot of the problems with what you're saying come from them just playing into the tropes too much, and then just like, I think they're just using things in the Jurassic World movie that you're not really here to see. If it was a different kind of movie, then fine. But the sequels since the first movie, the weakest part have been the characters.
Very true.
And,
very true.
Because it almost seems like the dinosaur part, that's the easy part to get right.
Yeah.
And because these films have tend to have big budgets, and that means the dinosaurs normally look pretty good. But the characters in this are hit and miss. There's some good comic relief with the people in the control room. I do like. I like Jake Johnson's character. I think he was good. He was likable, but also brought some good comedy time in. You know, I like the stuff with him and the girl who he was into. That was good.
I like that little subversion where he goes to kiss her and she's like, oh, no, I have a boyfriend. And he's like, well, you never said anything. She's like, yeah, I'm at work. I don't talk about that. I'm like, I thought that was great. That was like a nice little like
still
twist
might not
on
see
that.
each other again, so they have a hug, which is But yeah, that was a smart scene, and yeah, he was good in the movie, and I think the other standout maybe, is Vincent D'Onofrio, because
yes.
he does play bad guys or like weirdos very well. And
Yeah.
so he
You can
was
tell
good.
he's having fun. He's just kind of chewing the scenery and not taking himself too seriously, which I really like. Like he looks like he's just like having the time of his life there. So that was fun. That kind of brought a less serious component to this movie, even while he was playing a fun villain.
Yeah, because he's definitely a better villain than we've seen in the past two movies, I would say. Because the villains in those were pretty weak, I thought.
Yeah. Indian guy, Masrani, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that actor's from Slumdog Millionaire and a few, so I know that. He's a good actor, but I thought his character was quite good. I wasn't quite sure whether they were playing him as more of a villain or not, because he seemed to go more towards being a sympathetic character.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to be less of a villain and more of like a naive kind of guy, a bit like Hammond, who just hasn't realized the scope of what they're actually doing. Like, you know, you've got that scene in the helicopter where Claire's trying to talk to him about the realities of like running the park, like the safety things they need, you know, the money they need. And he's all like, no, let's talk about the magic in the dinosaurs' eyes, or are the people having fun? Do you see joy in their eyes? It's like, dude, you're running a multi-billion corporation. You need to think about these things. But I do think he's a fun character. And I do like that, like, at the height of like when the dinosaurs are getting out, he decides to get in the chopper and kind of go into action himself. And, you know, he obviously goes down fighting. So I thought that was a good scene. And I also thought the scene between him and obviously we see BD Wong's character come back. What's his name? I know he's got a name, but it's completely gone out of my head now. But obviously he's
that guy barely ages, does he? He
really doesn't. No, he looks exactly the same age. But I do like the conversation between him and Masrani when Masrani's like, you know, why would you make a dinosaur like this? It's like, and BD Wong's character's like, look, you didn't ask for all of the details. You just wanted more teeth, and it kind of shows you have a discrepancy between how clueless the upper level are with what they're actually doing. And I think it lays the ground for, you know, the next movie and stuff. So I did like that part. I have to ask you, what do you think of the whole raptor training thing? Do you like that they do it? Do you think it's interesting, or do you think it's a bit crap that they tamed kind of the most vicious animals in this series? Like, what's your take on the raptor training?
I was more into Owen's character. Maybe I would like it more.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think there is a cynical side to it where maybe to make it a little bit more family friendly, they're probably watering down that sort of. Because, I mean, the fact that he has this long running thing with Blue and they have a connection, that is a little bit Disney sort of movie to do that sort of thing.
Yes.
Even though I think they do have moments that are quite like charming and adorable, I still think to actually do that, it does feel like they're trying to make it a little bit too family friendly. And of course, one of the things we love about the original is that it's able to do both. It's able to be a good family adventure, but also have moments that put you on the edge of your seat and like darker moments. Purely as a fun popcorn movie, as a you know, a tribute or kind of like an entertaining sequel, then I think you're going to get quite a lot out of it. I think that's where I stand. It's just probably, as I said, one or two of the characters drag it down a bit, and I think it drags a bit at the start when they're setting it all up. I agree with the kids. Like, I think the problem with the kids is I think they just make them typical teenagers, and sometimes that isn't that entertaining to watch in a movie. The last 20 minutes, maybe that's the strongest part of the movie. Certainly the back half, because, as I said, for example, that helicopter scene I thought was really good. And then I think there are some other good action scenes with them. But like some of the stuff with Claire and Owen, it does feel a bit like a scene out of like Romance in the Stone. I think they are going for that.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. Yeah, I think that some of the action sequences are really good. Like the helicopter sequence is a good one. There's a fun sequence where Owen and Claire are trapped in a garage or something, and the Indominus Rex is literally like 2 feet away from them. I really feel the tension in that scene. I think some of the scenes with the kids are really good. I actually quite like the little soft scene they have where the kids find the original center, and we have a little bit of the nostalgia weaponizing. I thought that was fun. That was a little bit of weaponizing nostalgia and bringing us back to the original movie. And I have to say, I find the I find the whole Owen riding through the jungle on a motorcycle with a pack of raptors ridiculous. Like, I just don't know who decided to do that. See, my issue with what they do with the raptors in this is we've spent 3 movies, the first 3 movies, learning over and over and over how freaking dangerous the raptors are. Like, even like the big dinosaurs tend to pale when it comes to the raptors. Like in the first movie, they make it so incredibly clear that the most dangerous animals they have in the park are the raptors. Like, even when Nedry turns off the main system, they say he was smart enough to leave the raptor fence on. Because even he knew that you can't let these things out. So to suddenly see them kind of like domesticated, so to speak. And I know that they have like that scene where the kid falls into the pit and the raptors like go to him. But again, like, you've got stupid Chris Pratt going in there and being like, whoa, let's all like stop. And it's like, no. These dudes are going to rip your arms off. Like, so for me, it was like, why would you do it with the raptors? Of all the animals, you've decided to like tame the raptors.
That's true. They probably picked the worst one to do it with.
Yeah,
maybe,
and again,
maybe just because
I think it's supposed to play into that whole Owen's cool factor. Like, look at Owen, he's tamed the raptors. Yeah, it just didn't work for me. But, you know, I think the spectacle of this movie, you definitely get swept up in it. I think the scene where the pterodactyls are loose is really fun. Oh, my God, poor Katie McGrath and her death scene. Oh, my God, does that just go on for way too long?
Which character is that again?
The British nanny. The British assistant, Katie McGrath, is it, from Merlin? You know, she gets that death
she's the one who Claire sort of leaves.
Yes, she's Claire's assistant. She kind of offloads the boys onto her. But she gets one of the most horrifying deaths in the series. I mean, she's pulled up by like a million different pterodactyls. Then she's thrown into the water where they still keep attacking her. And then she's eaten by the mosasaurus. It's like, dude, this.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good death, though.
It's a great death, but deaths like that in the Jurassic Park franchise are usually reserved for, like, the arseholes. You know, it's usually the arsehole characters that get the horrible deaths, but she had done nothing wrong. Poor girl.
Yeah, well, that's the point I was going to make, actually, because the Vincent D'Onofrio's death is by comparison a bit rushed. Like
yeah, it
considering he's the main villain of the film, he could have got a bigger death, you sort of feel.
I think so, yeah.
Just going back to like what you were saying earlier with some of the silly mistakes that characters makes and Owen being responsible, I think that's another result of it being they're going for more of an action movie. Because it's like you're making the point that logically they would just stay in one place and not put themselves in danger and wait for like whatever security. But I think that's because they're treating it like an action movie where they want them to be heroic action stars that are going to like save the day. And but I think that again, you're going back to the first movie, but like those characters in that movie do feel smart and they feel like, you know, they're sensible and know what they're doing. But like obviously when they're put in danger, they're gonna do whatever they can to get out of it, but they're not going to needlessly put themselves in danger. So I think that's the problem. Then at times they're treating this a bit too much like an action movie.
Yeah.
Because you can have it be an action movie where the action just comes naturally because of the situation they're in, but to maybe force that too much through the characters, I think that's what they've done. Probably.
That actually, when you said that, like it should be like a natural confluence of events, not just like characters doing whatever they want. I once watched a review when this movie first came out. Someone on YouTube did a comparison of this to the first movie, and they said the first movie goes through a chain of events that happens because, so it's like the fences go out because Nedry's turned the system off, because Hammond hasn't paid him, because he's trying to do this. So it's a natural. Whereas he said that this movie is an and then kind of movie. So it's like this happened and then this happens. But rather than it being like because, it's just and then this happens and then this happens. And I'm like, no, that's right. This movie doesn't have like a natural like convergence of events, and that's why it kind of almost has a double ending. Like, for example, the first big danger is the Indominus Rex gets loose, and then it lets a bunch of other dinosaurs loose, and Claire has to find her nephews, and they need to get everyone on the island to safety. So that's the first big, like, okay, so this is our big catastrophe. Then all of that happens. They manage to find the nephews, they get everyone to safety. Then all of a sudden we have to restart the movie and put the characters back in danger with the raptors going after the Indominus Rex. You know, it's almost like they have to restart the danger again because they brought the first lot of danger to a natural conclusion, and then they have to put the characters in trouble again, which then leads us to that massive dinosaur fight at the end, which, you know what, I don't mind that dino fight. It's very well filmed. I think the CGI effects are actually really good. I don't mind the little callback with the flare, using the flare to bring the T-Rex out.
That was nice.
That was all fun. So I thought that was it's a fun climax. But again, it's kind of like, you know, we get to the end of okay, everyone's safe. Oh, okay, but we still have 30 minutes of the movie left. So we have to put the characters back in danger. So yeah, I feel like this movie, it's not so much a sequence of events that actually makes sense, rather than it's just a sequence of events that happen and our characters kind of go through them. But they are fun events. And I did have a fun time watching this movie. Just like I said, it's a bit of a popcorn movie. You watch it, you enjoy it, you finish it, but then you're kind of still hungry for more because it hasn't 100% satisfied you. But I do still think it's fun. And like I said, great score. I think it's filmed really well. I think despite the fact that they're all CGI, the dinosaurs are actually, you know, pretty cool. The Indominus Rex is okay. I mean, I prefer the T-Rex as a big bad and the raptors. It does feel a little generic. And I don't like that we kind of, with the Indominus Rex, we kind of just discover things as the characters discover things. Like, for example, okay, again, I'll use the original movie again. The raptors in the original movie. We have that scene right at the beginning where Alan describes how raptors attack in packs. And then that pays off beautifully at the end when they get the tough English dude, you know, and the clever girl line. Like, we know what's happening because Grant has already explained it to us. Whereas with the Indominus Rex, rather, we just kind of find things as they happen. Like, oh my God, it can camouflage. Oh my God, it's part raptor. Oh my God, it's this. It's like, but we didn't really know anything, so there's not really any tension. Like, I think it would have been much more tense if we already knew it could camouflage and we know that they're going after something that they can't really find. Like, that would have been so much more intense. Whereas, yeah, I just feel like this script was not as clever or not as well thought through as it could have been, but it is made up for with the fact that it is like I said, it's a spectacle. And part of it is you do go to these movies partly for the spectacle. You go to see the big dinosaurs, you go to see the dinosaurs fight, you go to see, you know, the characters get put in peril. I just feel that this one was a bit thin as far as, obviously characterization and story as well. But it's still fun, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what you're saying comes back to what I said about Jurassic Park 3, where I kind of just enjoy it as a dumb B movie, and I think ultimately if you can't recreate the magic of the first one, and if you can't, because that one is pretty much perfect because it's got a great story combined with like great action and great effects and all the rest of it. Yeah, but if you can't recreate that, like, because that was sort of in a way magic in a bottle, then probably the next best thing is just to make it an entertaining, you know, monster style movie. So I would say this does succeed in that, like, especially in the second half once it gets going. Some of the setup is tedious, so I think that's probably the worst stuff in the movie. And I agree the characters are hit and miss. Some I quite like, some I'm not too keen on. I think the score's really good. And what I like about it is I think it gets that balance between it's playing tribute to the original theme, But I think it also has its own bits of music that are good.
It does.
Because he's a good composer, like we said. And so I think it actually gets a good balance where it's not hitting you with nostalgia too much.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. It is a great score. I think the score really elevates the film. And yeah, like you said, it has some beautiful shout outs to the original score, but it also has its own theme and its own like motifs and everything. And I think it does like a really, really good job. So yeah, the score is definitely, I think, one of the better parts of the film and definitely elevates the film and helps to draw you in and kind of capture you as you're watching it. It's very good.
Very much Colin Trevorrow's trilogy because he directs 2 of the 3, and the middle one he co-writes, so he's very much involved. I don't know if you've seen his movie Safety Not Guaranteed, but I recommend.
No. Oh, okay.
That's a good little sci-fi with a bit of a romance, like quirky indie little film.
Okay.
With, Audrey Plaza's in it, and Mark Duplass, he's in it as well. But I recommend checking it out. It's
cool.
a criminally underrated gem if you rate Jurassic World.
I think I'm going to give it a 6.5. You know, I think it's good. I think it's entertaining. And like I said, I do have fun watching it, but I do think it is a bit of a thin film and a little bit generic. Just some of the characters and some of the stuff that happens. It's a bit kind of like, I feel like we've been here and done that. But like I said, I think the spectacle is spectacular. I really like Claire as a character. I like some of the casting is fun, and there are some really fun scenes to watch in this movie. You can just kind of put it on, leave your brain at the door, and just kind of enjoy the dinosaur spectacle. So 6.5 out of 10 for me. What about you?
Okay, I'll go a little bit higher. I will give it a 7.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like I said, I think this mostly delivers on what you're hoping for, and it's certainly funny because now we're quite a few years down the line, and the standard of modern blockbusters really is pretty terrible. So we would definitely want more, fun style blockbusters like this. I think and there's definitely a few faults, which is why I'm not going too high. But I think 7.
That's fair.
It's about so far. This is the best sequel, I would say.
Yes, it is. Yes, that I will agree with. It is definitely better than the previous 2 we've reviewed. So that's fun.
Yeah, but it's obviously an interesting movie, as I said, from the point then it probably did start the modern. Because I think there's some Force Awakens, which you can now look back on and maybe say that was doing. Yeah. Yeah, I think they were the first 2 in a way because they came out the same year. So I'll just quickly mention, there was a fun post that went around on Tumblr about a year or so after this movie was released, which said that a better idea for this movie would have been, imagine if Owen, instead of being 2 strangers, they were Lex and Tim from the original movie. Like, what if Lex grew up, realized that they were going to restart the park, and she and Tim went, okay, no, we've been through this before. Let's go and like try and work from inside. So imagine little Tim grown up and working with the raptors and Lex running the park. I was like, that actually would have been a really cool idea. And it's a pity because I'm pretty sure that could have worked.
Yeah, both kids have said that they would come back to the franchise. It's just a pity that they've never really capitalized on that. But I thought that would have been a cool idea if they had decided to go with that. I thought that was a fun little idea that was floated.
Well, yeah, because they do seem intent on bringing everybody else back.
Mm-hmm.
Because we haven't got there yet, but I'm pretty sure... well, no, I won't say it because it's spoilers for the 3rd film in case.
Okay, we'll wait till we get there.
But there's a character that they bring back for that who was assumed dead from the original movie, isn't there? I mean, I hear they recast it. It's not the same actor, but I think it is the same character. And that's
we'll see when we get there.
That's pretty egregious, really. But okay, so that's our thoughts on Jurassic World, the first of this trilogy of the modern Jurassic movies. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share us out on social media. And support me on Patreon, patreon.com/boardnow for some extra perks. I will just mention, like, similar sort of thing to this, but one of the things I'm doing on there at the moment, because I do movie commentaries from time to time, and I've been doing all the Indiana Jones movies, like commentaries of that, which is relevant because Indy 5 is about to come out. And I will say I will be reviewing Indy 5 on the channel. I'm going to see it this week, actually, but that's something if you're into the Indiana Jones movies. I've been doing commentaries of all of those movies, so I've just got one more to do now. But I've been doing commentaries on that, also X-Files commentaries, and a bunch of other extras you can get on there if you want to support the channel, and that's just for $1 a month, or like if you want to give more then feel free, but you can get all that for just $1 a month if you want to support the channel a bit more. That's patreon.com/boardnow. Also, I've got a PayPal link on the channel, so you can make a one-off donation there if you want to help the channel out. Rachel, if you want to promote your channel.
Guys, you can follow me, Rachel McDonald, video essays on TV shows and movies. I only have one Jurassic Park video at the moment. I did a reaction to the Fallen Kingdom trailer years ago, but maybe in the future, you never know, there might be some stuff. But come follow me there. My Tumblr and my Twitter account are also linked through my YouTube, and Keith usually puts the link in the description. So come and follow me everywhere.
Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Keep watching movies. We'll be back soon with the sequel, the next film. What's it called? Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Look out for that soon on the channel. Take care, guys. See you later.